There's no prayers today. So there will be him, a moment of silence, and then why don't you and I just make eye contact and you'll start playing. Okay. Just so you, I was just going through things with Stearns. I was trying to remember if there was anything. So there's no prayers today, so we'll sing the hymn. We'll have a moment of silence, and Stearns and I, he'll start playing immediately. And then when he's done, we do the reading. You have the reading, yeah? Great. Cool. Yeah. Please.
It's like I'm finding the bass note in there.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Society of Germantown. My name is Charles Gabriel, and my pronouns are he and him. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. If you've done so already, we invite you to introduce yourself to someone at the welcome table right over. Done so already, we invite you to introduce yourself to someone at the welcome table right over here, and they would be happy to answer any questions you have about this congregation or Unitarian Universalism. Please complete a visitor card and join us for fellowship and delicious homemade soup in the Edna Jones room and the dining room following the service. As we work to widen our community, please note that there are large print hymnals and large print orders of service available at the front of the sanctuary, and listening assisted devices can be picked up from the sound desk. Okay, the large print orders of services are over here, and the listening assisted devices are over here. We have an elevator for those who need assistance going up and down. Just ask an usher where to find it. It's a little hidden. Gender-neutral restrooms can be found at the bottom of the stairs in the back of the sanctuary, through the narthex, down the stairs. And gendered restrooms are through this door on my right, on your left, and down the hall. Use whichever feels right for you. And lastly, longtime members, if you thought none of this applies to you, as our community grows, wear your name tag. It allows us to greet one another warmly and genuinely. Especially, it helps new people here to know who you are. For our announcements today, please see the order of service for all the groups meeting here today. One we accidentally omitted was UU 101. So please join Reverend Hannah and me in Sullivan 1 to chat about the history and principles of this faith and the history of and opportunities to serve at the Unitarian Society of Germantown. As the seasons turn, join us for a spring equinox celebration this Thursday. A community potluck will start at 5 p.m., followed by a short ritual and labyrinth walk. Also this Thursday in the evening, we offer on Zoom a caregivers support group and an evening of mindfulness session. On Friday, the 20s, 30s, 40s group hosts a 7 p.m. game night for their peer group. On Saturday, our sister congregation, UUs of Mount Airy, will host a session of UUs for Justice in the Middle East at 1 p.m. And more details and information are in the order of service and in the communicator. One thing, speaking of order of service, there is one small adjustment that needs to be made. The last item on the back page, save the date. It should be Sunday, March 30th, not Sunday, March 20th. And now, as we deepen into worship, I ask that you silence your cell phones and allow yourself to be present for this hour. But please, please don't silence your children. Their sounds are welcome here.
Trying some new tech this morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Hannah Capaldi. I use she, her pronouns, and it is my pleasure to serve this congregation as your minister. Our call to worship today comes from Laura Horton Ludwig. The wheel of the year has turned again. How shall we sing our song of gratitude now? For what shall we give thanks? For this moment, for friends near and far, for our breath, for love, for courage and clarity, for strength, for delight, for laughter, for beauty, for the tables round which we gather, for the food we enjoy with friends seasoned with love and memory, for the sun and the moon and the stars in the sky, for the trees who have seen so much and still stand proud, stretching themselves to the sky, for the bright voices of children, for the wisdom of elders, for actions that bless the world, for hard work that makes a difference, for music and art and celebration, for generosity, for compassion, for endurance, for joy, for hope. For all these things, we give thanks today as we worship together.
Please join me in the unison words printed in your order of service for the chalice lighting. Today, Michael will be lighting the chalice for us. We light this chalice, the beacon that calls us to love, to justice, to a deepening of the Spirit. Now please rise in body or spirit for our first hymn, number 153, Oh, I Woke Up This Morning.
This is our time for all ages. And it's actually going to be really a time for all ages today because you brought me here to be myself. And today I'm a little salty. I'm a little salty. So, last week Andrea Barsovic modeled a kind of risk-taking. Yuri, will you take a seat, honey? Take a seat. Thank you. She modeled a kind of risk-taking that I want to follow right now, okay? When I came here, I changed the language in the Worship Associates Welcome to say, your children's noises are welcome here. Okay? Silence your cell phones, for God's sake, silence your cell phones. But please don't silence your children. Now, I have to tell you, the number of people who came up to me, parents, who came up to me after this change was implemented and said, thank you. You have no idea what it feels like to have your children shushed in your spiritual home. You have no idea how hostile this place has felt towards young people at times. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And I felt so good about this change. I did. I felt really good about this change. Like, look at the abundance of children, the new families that were coming. Okay, the language adaptations have really helped carve some new space for a new community within this community to emerge. But then those children started wandering the sanctuary. They started toddling up on the chancel. They started crying during prayers. They started making themselves known. They became such a big presence for such small stature. You just wander around everywhere, Yuri. That's your thing, you know? And then came the emails. And the phone calls. And the asides in fellowship hour. Reverend Hannah, the kids are too loud. It is too much. They run past me and they almost knock me over. They run wild through the sanctuary and desecrate our sacred space and our silence. So kids, here's what I have to say to you. This is a weird place. It is not a school. It is not a restaurant. It is not a playground. And it's not a store. This to go back out and go to school. To go back out and go to school. When we are rushing, and so busy, going to our classes, going to our after-school activities, going to Grandma and Grandpa's house, sometimes we forget to settle and breathe. So we try and be really thoughtful about being still and being quiet here. And you know what else about community? You are the youngest, and people are trying to watch out for you, but there are elders here that need you to watch out for them, okay? When you see older folks, can I see people's eyes on me? Okay. When you see people who are using a walker or a cane, or maybe like their knees kind of bugging them and they're looking like the stairs are kind of hard, we're gonna still our bodies and we're gonna give them space. And maybe we're going to hold the door for them. Or maybe we're going to say, can I go get you a cup of lemonade at fellowship hour? Because I see you struggling. Because they're keeping an eye on you, and we're going to keep an eye on them. Okay? Now, adults, this is what I have to say to you. This is a weird place. It is not your workplace, or your home, or your gym. This is a place where you come to get your needs met, but those needs sometimes are going to come into conflict with the needs of everyone else around you in this place. If you need silence, And this is the saltiest thing you're going to hear me say all day. If you need silence week in and week out, you can go to one of the other dying churches within 10 blocks of here. I kid you not, the New York Times is riddled with editorials about dying religion. We are not dying. We are not dying. And that doesn't mean I don't think silence is sacred. We definitely need silence, and we have to practice silence with our kids. But if you cannot find the prayer and the hope in the sounds of children in this place, that's your spiritual work to do. Okay? This is my kid. Yes. So here's what I have to say. Stick around. To the parents, I worked hard to carve this space for you. Don't take a mile when I've given you an inch. To the adults who have been here a long time and are feeling threatened by the changes around them, you have to get to know one another. You have to go meet that kid that disturbed your silence. And you might hear that parent say, my husband was sick in bed all week and I was so lonely and I'm so exhausted. Thank God I got here. And then when Joey cries next week, you might turn and say, Joey, this is your dad's time. This is your dad's time. Keep it quiet. Maybe you go get them a play pack. Or you show them to the wiggle room. Or you did like, where's Keith? Is Keith here today? Keith, last week, my wife had to go feed our baby. And when Time for All Ages was over, Tony started crying. She didn't know where to go. She couldn't find Yo-Yo. Keith said, Tony, let me show you. Let me show you where to go. And he helped her. And I thought, hallelujah. This is community. This is it. So, stick around. You're all needed. Multi-generational community is hard work. We don't do it anywhere. So you have to practice it here. We have to practice being patient with our children. We have to practice being patient with ourselves. And little ones, we have to practice stilling our bodies and stilling our minds and keeping out for those who are older and need our attention. Okay? And that is your Time for All Ages this week. We are not going to solve this quickly. We're going to keep at it. We're going to teach each other a lot more as we go. You're going to hear more from me about it, but you're driving me all crazy. And I love you to pieces. Okay? So let's sing our kids to their classes. We'll go now in peace. You want me to come? I have a bird. Do you want to stay with me? No? Have fun.
My Lebanese grandmother, Sitta, in the Aramaic-inflected Arabic of the Lebanese mountains, was the most joyful person I ever knew. She and my grandfather and my father immigrated to the United States in October of 1910 on the ship SS Floride. 15 years later, she became a widow with 8 children. She provided for her family by selling dry goods door to door in the immigrant neighborhoods of Newcastle, Pennsylvania, learning several languages and becoming fluent in Polish in the process. Unfortunately, she never became fluent in English. The interaction with other women brought great happiness and great joy to her. I remember her for the joy she showered upon her grandchildren, particularly my cousin Rita, the first grandchild, and me, her first grandson, 8 months younger than Rita. My first experience in learning how to cook happened in Sita's kitchen, where the joy of cooking occurred years before we ever heard of Julia Child. Her joy was infectious, and Rita and I grew up to be joyful adults. Sita taught me how to play cards, and she taught me by example how to cheat at cards. I remember her playing cards with her girlfriends and cheating while laughing with pure joy as they all cheated blatantly. At her wake, Rita and I sat in the back of the viewing room and exchanged remembered stories of our life with Sita. The rest of the family and many of Sita's friends were on the verge of outrage at our laughter. Sita would have understood, though. She was the most joyful person I ever knew. This week, we will share our plate with Germantown Residents for Economic Alternatives, Together, a grassroots organization that works to connect neighbors with one another, to build a stronger, sustainable community, share resources, and prevent displacement. GREAT, GREAT, hopes to shape a community that thrives on collective work and responsibility. So please give generously, as we have found that the more we give away, the more that comes our way. To give in cash or check, just please drop them in the plate as the ushers pass by. To give by text, please follow the instructions on the back of your order of service. At this time, excuse me, at this time, we invite you to contribute your joys and sorrows to the bowls of water at the front of the sanctuary. Choose a smooth stone or a pebble and place it in the water to absorb your pain or to ripple out with your joy. Sterns will play as we process. Reverend Hannah will place a pebble for Rick Rhodes as he recovers from a brief hospitalization after contracting strep throat. We hold Rick in our hearts as he regains his strength. Reverend Hannah will place a pebble for Ron Ross, who remains very sick with the flu. We lift Ron at this time and pray for his health to return in full. Reverend Hannah will place a pebble in commemoration of 5 years since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let us remember all the lives lost, all the ways we were changed from that time. Finally, Reverend Hannah will place one smooth stone and one pebble into the water on behalf of those joining us online. Please remain seated and join in singing hymn number 123 in the hardback hymnal, Spirit of Life, after which we will share a moment of silence.
I saw the sun today. Well, I really didn't see the sun. What I saw were all the objects underneath it, all aglow. Even shadows from these objects only added to the show. And the blacks and grays of last night now were multicolored flame, and they didn't look the same as right before the sunshine came. So I know the sunshine came, I just know. I saw the world today. Well, I really didn't see the world. What I saw were all the people waking up and walking out, watching TV, reading papers to find what the world's about. And I heard them whistle softly and sing out loud their song, and I had to join the throng. I I just had to sing along, how I wanted to belong to the world. Hello, world, wonderful, warm, and wild. Hello, sun, I am your newborn child. I saw myself today. Well, I really didn't see myself. What I saw was my reflection in both my friends' and family's eyes. For beneath my own complexion isn't where my person lies, but inside the hearts and memories of the people that I see. So is a tree not yet a tree until it's seen by you and me? How did we ever come to be in this world? Hello, world, wonderful, warm, and wild. Hello, sun, I am your newborn child. Hello, world, hello, sun, hello, me. Hello.
The reading this morning is a poem entitled The Messenger by Mary Oliver. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, equal seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums. Here the clam deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still not half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. The phoebe, the delphinium, the sheep in the pasture, and the pasture, which is mostly rejoicing, since all the ingredients are here. Which is gratitude, to be given a mind and a heart, and these body clothes, a mouth with which to give shouts of joy to the moth and the wren, to the sleepy dug-up clam, telling them all over and over how it is that we live forever.
We'll start with a story. There once was a princess who never smiled. Never. The king sent his ambassadors to find a truly happy man. They came upon a merchant first, content with his grand home and beautiful family. He seemed just right until they asked whether he would like to be knighted. His eyes filled with such desperate longing that they knew this was not the man they sought. They came upon a priest, full of energy and idealism. He seemed to be just right until they asked whether he might like to be bishop, and he replied, "Nothing would please me more." And they knew that this man wasn't perfectly content either. They traveled far and wide, but wherever they went, no one perfectly happy. There was always something in the way. People had too many children or too few, too much work or not enough. Indeed, it seemed that people were either too lonely or too overwhelmed. They were too hungry or too full. They were overtired or they slept too much. They were never satisfied. The ambassadors were about to give up when they heard someone singing a merry tune off in the distance. They followed the melody to its source and found a farmer contentedly weeding. As they approached, he welcomed them and said with delight, "I could use a break. Please join me for water and fresh-picked carrots." The ambassadors were accustomed to wine and cake, but they tried the humble offering and found it both refreshing and delicious. The farmer beamed. "What a glorious day it is. A man couldn't wish for more." "Wouldn't a bigger farm be better?" they asked. "A bigger farm would be too much work. Mine is the perfect size. Wouldn't life be easier if you were a merchant or a priest? But I miss the soil and breathing the fresh country air. But you labor so hard. My husband and children help, he said. Company makes the work go faster. Isn't there anything you wish for? The man thought hard and then replied, nothing. The ambassadors were truly perplexed by this very simple but very happy man. They were also thrilled. You are the man we've been looking for. We have been asked to bring the shirt of a truly happy man to the king. The man stared at them for a moment and then laughed apologetically. I don't own a shirt. The ambassadors returned to the king empty-handed, but not empty-headed. They knew the princess would need to weave their own shirt of happiness, and they had some idea for how one might do that. I was home for Thanksgiving in Massachusetts a few years back. Back before my parents broke my heart and sold my childhood home. Yeah, still getting over that. I grew up on a road with no sidewalks, next to a raspberry farm near conservation land, acres and acres of woods. I grew up going for walks in these woods, taking the dogs with us, seeing the seasons change as we crunched through the leaves or strapped on snowshoes or pulled on the wellies for mud season. I had done that walk a lot of times in my life, and that particular Wednesday before Thanksgiving, it was a beautiful, crisp day. The sky was the kind of blue you pull from a crayon box. The sun was high, still transmitting a bit of warmth if you stood still in it. The air was clear and cold. So I got myself dressed to walk by myself. I had done this walk so many times in my life, it was almost unremarkable at this point. I knew it, backwards and forwards. I can still even close my eyes and trace the trail in my mind. I never wear headphones on my walks in the woods. I like to hear the bird song and the wind in the branches of the pine trees. I like to hear the trickle of the cold brook and the weird chipping of squirrels. And I'm on this walk, breathing deeply, hearing the world unfold around me, and this trail, about a mile in, it crests a small hill, and the trees give way to a clearing, and the view, it opens up. The sky appears enormous. And I'm standing in the wide brown field, and in the distance you can see a horse farm with a few paddocks, and down below is the road that my school bus route took when I was in 2nd and 3rd grade. And as I crested this hill and took a few steps out into this open expanse, I felt overcome. What a magnificent day. What a magnificent moment to be alive in this world, alone as I was. And I fell to my knees. I fell to my knees and I felt the cold, slightly damp ground give way under my weight, and I fell further still, pressing my forehead to the ground, inhaling the smell of dirt, letting the tiny crystals of dust imprint. And then I lifted my face, resting my palms on my thighs, and I sat, momentarily stunned by what had just unfolded. Now, Unitarian Universalism is not a kneeling tradition. I, you, we don't come from a fall on your knees before the majesty of creation kind of tradition, and yet here I was, brushing dirt off my face and wiping my knees, which only moments before had given way beneath me. And I glanced around nervously, perhaps that someone might have seen this private, transcendent moment, this private, transcendent moment of humility, of gratitude. Because when I stood and pondered what it was that had overtaken me in that moment. It was a strange and intoxicating blend of gratitude and humility, astonishment. To be alive, to breathe that cold air, to feel the snot on my face and my cheeks burned against the cold air and my eyes squinting against the brightness of that November sun, all amidst a land I knew and treasured, a land that held the contours of my life, my memories. I felt connected to that which matters most. I felt astonished for all the walks I had taken here and never appreciated so deeply, for all the times I took for granted the day that I had been given, for all the moments in my life that led me to this one, all the moments I had survived or passed through, all the choices I had made that led me to this clearing and cresting of that hill. I felt humbled and exceedingly grateful. How many of you have ever experienced a moment of transcendent gratitude? I see some hands. If you have ever felt so full of appreciation and profound thankfulness that you fell to your knees, or you wept, or you raised your arms in incredulity, me, I get to experience this. I get to draw this breath. I get to take this in. I get to be the one who lives this life. Perhaps you survived cancer, a brush with death, and your own fragility. Each of our precarious grips on life laid bare your desire to live. Perhaps you've watched someone else lose their life, and your grief became an engine of appreciation. Perhaps you know what it is to have nothing or no one, to be of despair, and when you claw your way out of that valley, you look back in awe at what your life has become. Or perhaps it's simply that you try to attune yourself to the Phoebe and the dug-up plan, to the irrepressible shine of the midnight sky, the warmth of an embrace. Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished, writes Mary Oliver. Let me keep my mind on what matters most, the work of learning to be astonished. In that moment when the wooded path gave way to an open field and sky, I learned. To be astonished, to seek out those moments of transcendent gratitude at the gift of your own life. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take piles of money or the right outfit or the newest technology. It doesn't take a fancy meal or an elaborate present. It takes simplicity. Simplicity of desire and simplicity of satisfaction. Release yourself. Give yourself over to the idea that you already have here what you need, that the world provides for us over and over again opportunities to learn the way of astonishment. 'Tis a gift to be simple. 'Tis a gift to be free. Stearns played this tune during the offertory. Simplicity grants us space to be free, free from distractions and elaborations, free from ornamentation and compensation. In that freedom, we might find astonishment. In moments of profound gratitude, moments of humble truth, that to be alive is the greatest gift of all. That our work is to stay attuned to that which matters most. To be mostly still and seek peace from the barest of ambitions, to draw another breath, to sing another song, to be next to a friend. Just this week, A beloved in my community rolled their car up alongside me and Livia, the two girls in the stroller, out for a late afternoon walk. "How are you?" I asked. "You know, as good as one can be," she said. "Don't I know it?" I replied. "We're going back to basics around here. Long walks in the sun. That's the best we can do today." It was on that day that we had learned of the abduction of Mahmoud Khalil, a green card holder, a permanent resident of this country, afforded all the constitutional protections we assume all day long, each of us. And in the face of this monumental threat, the best we could do was a long walk in the sun. And astonishment. And awe. And gratitude. For my baby's long toes, which refused to stay in socks. My little girl's love of pointing out the moon. My wife's ability to fold my shirts just right. My gratitude for you. To all of you. To the trees and the buds. I am trying to stay attuned to that which matters most. Having you helps. Our hymns help. I've noticed slowing down has helped. I hear a phrase tossed around these days by some of the younger generations. "It's not that deep," they say. Like, don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. Don't muck it up with bigger, deeper, more intense interpretations than are necessary. And on this Sunday, when the world feels so deep, so intense, so much in a death spiral that it threatens to subsume us all, I want to push that message out. It's not that deep. It's not that complicated. You got up today. Be astonished. You drew a breath. Be astonished. You have a life to live. Be astonished. The sun rose. Be astonished. The moon will be revealed. Be astonished. Time will pass. Be astonished. And in that simplicity, there will be satisfaction and strength to live another day. So, beloveds, I send you forth today with instructions to recognize a simple gift when it reveals itself to you, and to prepare yourself, little old you, in body and mind and spirit, for that moment when you might be struck with astonishment, falling to your knees, and to know deep in your soul that which matters most. May it be so, and amen.
Now let us stand as we are able and sing hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
Praise
As we extinguish our chalice, please join me in unison with the words printed in your order of service, followed by our sung response. We extinguish our chalice, but the flame remains in us as we live into the mission of this congregation, building beloved community with compassion, service, and empowerment.
You woke up today, be astonished. For all that is our life, we give thanks and praise. Reminded of the truth in simple satisfactions, back to basics, from which we will draw strength and courage to live another day. May it be so. Amen. You are loved.